Welcome back to Omnifactory, and it's time to extend our earlier factory that we did for cable, which is out here right now, and we're going to produce a second one for circuits. And don't do what I did and go and make yourself an extractor. I wanted a fluid extractor, an advanced fluid extractor. I made an advanced extractor that does not do the same thing whatsoever. just to be clear. One of them you can use to process this stuff, the sticky resin, to get rubber pulp out of it, and you can process that into rubber as well and get more rubber that way without going through the compressor and stuff like that. But yeah, don't worry about it. Just don't make the wrong thing like I did, and let's get started. So that's the advanced extractor. It should actually still be crafting. Yeah, it is still crafting the fluid extractor, and there it is. It should be done. So extractor and the fluid extractor will do. So if you don't remember last episode, we set up an MVCF below the floor here. I'll pop this down, and for now, I may have to change my mind later, but I'm going to put the output on this side. This thing is going to output liquids, and it's the liquids that we're going to output into the other machines. So the other machines we're going to stick on top, and what I may well end up doing is hiding this somewhere underneath, perhaps, you know, down in this block space just below this. And then routing the cable up, but we'll see how large this grows, and you know, of course, move it around later. We're also going to need advanced assembling machines. Yes, so we're going to go up to medium voltage assemblers now. Next tier up, it means we can get into refined circuits. So if you look into refined, and there's a few different options in here. Mainly, we have to go through the first tier, the second tier, and then the third tier. And there's a couple of options again, even in here. We can go for through-hole components like we've been doing so far. That works fine, and we can just feed in tin just like before, with a slight change there in that because we're now making refined circuits, we need plastic circuit boards and we need central processing units. Otherwise, most of the rest, the tin alloy wire, we just get from tin alloy straight away. It doesn't even go into a smaller, sort of a simpler version of wire. So that's going to be simple, and we can put a pattern back in the system. Tin alloy is just iron and tin, and we can do that with an alloy smelter as well. So that's going to be trivial. So yeah, the first tier, we just need to get central processing units and plastic circuit boards. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty normal. But for the rest of this, we're going to need to get some various different pieces of conduit, I think. So let's just go in here and get some conduit sorted. So conduit, and let's just get... We could use ender fluid conduit. It's probably a good idea to keep it to that tier. And I'm just going to get some miscellaneous other bits and pieces of conduit. Not that we should need those types, but ME conduit is, you know, kind of handy sometimes to share the block space with Ender IO stuff, particularly if you have to deal with various other things. Interfaces, can we build a couple of interfaces? We're missing tier 2 circuits, so I may have to make some of the sort of boring kind, the previous tier, the non-refined version. Interface, can we build one now? Does it only need one of those? Yes, it did, so that can go. And we'll head out here. Am I going to need anything else? I'm going to need an interface, and I'm going to need some cable, but I've got a few pieces of glass cable. Let's just see if I can get some more cable. Let's just craft 20 of those. I still need to craft more CPUs. Are you finished yet? You're going to be a little while. Let's head out here. So the object of this is, for the moment, we can just think about supplying this constant with tin. I don't yet have this storage door controller connected to the network, so for the moment, we will just dump tin in here. And we can also set an export bus on the system as soon as we have it available and keep it full that way. That will do fine. And we don't have to worry about configuring anything else. It is going to output this side, which means we can shove all liquid into this side of various sets of these machines. First tier is first. We've got over there a production line that's producing resistors and fine copper wire, so we can have that. The refined circuit is the first tier. So refined circuit, let's just add all of these to our favorites. So that resistor is going to be fine. We no longer need the copper wire, which is good. So the only thing we need out of that setup is the resistors. That's good. We need capacitors and transistors. Capacitors we can make via our system. It's auto-crafted. Transistors we can do the same, I think. Let's just double check. which means if I order some of these components from outside, the system will just craft whatever it needs. Transistors, can you craft them? You can, oh, you can, that's absolutely fine. So that isn't needed, that's all perfectly fine. So that top row is dealt with. Then we're just going to deal with the bottom row. So let's look at central processing units. That's going to need CPU wafers, which is going to need wafers and a glass lens. Probably going to need quite a lot of those. And I already have a glass lens, but I don't have a lot of wafers. This is still medium voltage. So in that case, or we can go for glowstone doped wafers. And let's just see, is that easier to do? This is, no, we don't have that. No. And we also need argon. Okay, we don't have argon. I think that's used for welding, but it's been a while. So wafers, we're going to have to just make lots of these. And it's a slow process if you remember rightly. Still need silicon dust and gallium in a blast furnace, and we get that perfectly fine, however, to make it outside. So while this isn't going to be automatic, we can probably dump a load of each of these and get them in. So we need gallium and we need tiny piles. So we have lots of that. And then we want silicon dust. Now we have a fair bit to get us started with a few of these, but we're going to probably want more of those over time. Let's just put that back. So I'm just going to go and take a quick look at what the best option for generating silicon is. Oh, it's all the way over here now. Before I move the blast furnace. Let's just get both of those. What was this again? In the blast furnace, it was 1 to 32. So I just need 2 of these for a full stack. Both of those can go in. There we go. It'll go straight back into our system and we'll get that process. So the CPUs are going to be the non-automated, issue with this, at least to start. Beyond that, there is another option. You can go to SMD components, but they're only the top row. And the top row we can already create automatically. So it's the difficult bits that we will end up being exactly the same. We can swap over to these once we get to that point, because these then let us automate things in different ways. We have less component spend, or less material spend, if you like, once we get to that point. We get 32 of these with just 6 of a version of copper wire and a gallium plate. So yeah, it's quite nice to have. So I need to do that. Let's take a look at the plastic circuit board. I think we did this last episode, but we did it sort of semi-manually. So I'm going to go and take a look at that bottom row, see if there's any ways we can modify this setup. Otherwise, we're just going to put in an interface, just like we did previously. That interface should be done. And over here, interface. Yep. And we've got some cable. I need some more cable, so let's just set that off as well. Let's say 20. Yeah, you can start. And then we'll get our recipes put in there.
And there they are. We've got all 3 tiers of recipes, so the system can now create them if we've got all the subcomponents, that is. I've also added our sort of setup from downstairs, the sulfuric acid and ethanol stuff out here. I've switched across to using reservoir, endeavours. It's a 2x2 block, that is important. So, yep, 2x2, you need to put them together and then put 2 buckets of water in it, and it basically is an infinite water source then. Much better one than the ones we've been using so far, and you can see the output block is here. I've got one output block on the other side as well. Basically, then our system can then pull water wherever it needs to. So in my case, I'm pulling water on a blue channel, putting it in here. Although this one doesn't need it because it's automatically outputting that way anyway. Regardless, it is putting it in there. And also at the top here, we've got this chemical reactor. This is the one that's going to take sulfur. And that's going to convert it across into sulfuric acid. This one is producing ethanol, and then they're both getting shipped left. And they're going to go over here to where those are combined. Remember, this is the medium voltage. Sorry, I didn't explain. These 2 are low voltage. These 2 are medium voltage. They're off the same lines coming from that direction, heading this way. So, yeah, it's just worthwhile mentioning. I may also move this chemical reactor across into an advanced one. Then we can put it over here and then dump it straight. But then we're going to need sulfuric acid in more than one place. So even if I did put it over here, I may not want it automatically outputting. I may want it to go into the system. Anyway, the E32 system is providing sugarcane here, which is now on a storage bus underneath the floor. We're also getting the E32 system to automatically output all of the resistors, so it has those. And that's a bit of a problem because it's oh dear. It ran out of copper, and it dumped all the coal dust in there. That is something I need to rearrange when I have a few minutes, but I'll just grab some copper for now. Maybe I won't grab a lot of copper, but the magnet should drag it with me. Yep. And let's just dump all of you in there. It's 400. And that should start that process back up again. Yeah, they're going to take it to wire mill. And then I guess I'm going to take some of you out. There we go. I should be able to work for a little while until it's out of copper again. Let's just put that coal dust away. Right, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff going automatically. I need to sort the rest of this liquid setup out. There are a couple of things I need to craft. One of which is a way to basically create this sulfuric acid. Right now, we need to output it on the green channel, so we can do that. Extract on green, always active. That should send it over here, and it is. And that should basically start processing, and it is. Good. So that's quite nice and compact. All we need to add the rest of it for the ethylene and polyethylene. Down here, I'm just crafting some more obsidian because we're going to need that to create sulfur. Sulfur is also another thing you can create using your loop fabricators. But instead of putting it on the main array, I thought maybe we should put like a purpose-built setup for this. So I want dark steel, and I want dark steel machine block. Let's just craft. Whoops, not that. Give me the right keys. I need to craft 8 of those. Or is it dark steel machine hull? I can never remember. Loot fabricator. Yeah. Fingers. Loot fabricator. I wish it synced both ways. If I could type in here and it'd sync that way, I definitely wish it would do that. Dark steel machine hull, there it is. So I need an LV machine hull probably. Unless that's already made. Oh, I've already got a few. Okay, that's fine. So just dark steel itself. Once I get 8 of those, I'll combine. I've already made the simulation chamber and the blaze data model. That's the important one. That's what produces sulfur. I've got a few sulfurs anyway, but when we'll hook all these together and we'll get it started trying to produce sulfur. It will take time to ramp up, so it's not something we can do immediately, but we need to get that data model up and running. In fact, I can probably get the data model started just by putting in one of these temporarily. Let's say the self-aware tier, so I don't need that necessarily right away. I can just remove that and it's going to start powering up. And let's just process all this guardian matter. It's used for gold and aluminium, so I do need to put it back, but yeah, it's not too much of a problem for the moment. I've got plenty of hellish matter to make the data model, so that's not a problem. I made it already off camera. Now we're ready to go. So has that dark steel been produced yet? What is holding you up? It is actually crafting the dark steel. And if I didn't mention it already, I probably did. I've got to, because this is the day after the first part of the episode, I needed to take a break. Yep, I crafted a second co-processing, second crafting unit, so I can do 2 recipes in parallel. We'll add further ones in the future. That's just crafting the plates now. Okay, I'll put those down and we'll see you in a second. And I've asked the system to build circuits, and it is actually working. It's making tier 3 circuits, which is so nice. I haven't got the precursor ingredients sort of automated yet. A couple of things, I've just made mass quantities of them for now, because I'm going to set up that loop fabricator a little bit differently. We've already got storage drawer control over here that's storing hellish matter. So instead of rerouting things with item conduits, I guess I'm just going to put them through the AE2 system. So I've asked the system to craft a couple of import buses, and we've got a couple of export buses. And I think they require tier 3 circuits, so it's kind of nice that we have them. So I'm going to put them down underneath here rather than putting them on top. I was going to put them on top, but it requires routing all the RF cable up here. Ooh, there's a spare RF cable there. I forgot to remove. Let's look at that. There we go. Come on, magnet. Sometimes the magnet's a little bit wonky. Or that may have actually picked it up in this case. Anyway, back onto the these. These are sided, if you remember, so you have to withdraw from the bottom and you have to insert into the top, so that is something to worry about slightly. However, we can just put in the couple of import buses from the bottom, and that will make sure that we have the capability to store lots of sulfur instead of just just for this machine. And we will just put that out back somewhere and worry about connecting it up in a second. In fact, we can probably go out the side. No, we can't. Back is fine. There we go. Those should both be connected. So it should be withdrawing everything. It is. It's pulling in the hellish matter, and it will probably pull out the pristine blaze matter. I'm just going to take one of those for a filter. And then on this side, we're just going to put in an export bus here and a cable. And we're going to say your system should export all the pristine blaze matter it can to this, which is already set, or should be already set in a second, to sulfur dust. And that will be pulled straight back into the system. Now I can put acceleration cards on there and that will be much faster, but you get the idea. That is straightforward, and the system is already exporting polymer clay for us to process. So once this gets up to sulfurware tier, it's already on advanced tier, but sulfurware, then that will be good for us. So all that's left is needed to just export the sulfur dust back into this. So if we just get the sulfur dust and tell the system to export to here. Well, got some glass cable. That should be everything. It should start. Yep, as in when it produces sulfur dust, because we're just getting some back in the system, it's going to then be brought up here and be producing sulfuric acid, which is then going to get sent over here, and you'll see we've already got ethylene and diluted sulfuric acid. So I need to remove the rest of the setup from downstairs in the sort of the basement and bring it over here as well, just to reprocess the diluted side of things. More ugly machine setup down here. I am deciding to keep these here just purely because it outputs steam as well as a little bit of power, and we have 45,000 sugarcane, so we're not going to be running out of that anytime soon. But all of it has been transferred out here, apart from the fermenter, which I'll need for one of the other processes, but it is quite neatly set up now. I am considering moving all of these into advanced tier. It just needs advanced brewery, advanced distillery, advanced chemical reactor, and we're already able to make advanced chemical reactors as seen there. So over here, just to briefly explain the full chain, sugarcane and sugarcane to biomass, biomass to ethanol. This one also produces, we got more than enough sulfur now to produce lots of sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid will go over here to here, and we have excess, so we can send sulfuric acid to the extra process, which I needed to redo. I think that's, I removed the, what was it, the copper foil production for the plastic circuit board. So if we just have a look in here, it's this one. Yes. So I'll need some sulfuric acid, but I think I'll go to an advanced chemical reactor for that. And we get polyethylene sheets, which is being made in this stack anyway, up here, polyethylene sheets. It's not being output anywhere at the moment because I've not put an import bus. Do I don't have any import buses in my inventory? No. So we'll have to put an import bus in there. But then above that, we can then put this final advanced chemical reactor and get our plastic circuit boards back in the same process. So, yep, everything is working as I expected. I also put in this fluid trash can. It is basically here for this. The diluted sulfuric acid, I decided to simplify because we're getting sulfur on its own now. Without any effort whatsoever. I didn't feel the need to reprocess the diluted back into sulfuric. You'll see we've got an excess and it's fully stacked. So yeah, I'm just dumping it straight into a fluid trash can with a filter right there. Okay, so that is that setup, and it is nice now. I think with a little bit more effort, we can move all three of those machines across onto this stack and have like a 3x3 block that is dedicated just to doing those plastic circuit boards. But it's not essential. We've got everything running. Next trick in the episode, we're going to work on crafting fluorine. Now, fluorine is definitely not chlorine, so it's not the same thing we've produced before. Fluorine is going to be made with a few different things. It's mainly, well, my main use for it is going to be that we can use to craft it into the hydrofluoric acid, I think, and that can be crafted into elemental reduction fluid. That's the important one because that in turn will let me get things like Basol's powder. It'll let me get Blitz powder, Blizz powder. Blizz powder we don't need it for. We've already got a source of that from our sulfur producing loop fabricator. But these other powders are really important. In here we have this final bit, this final quest up here, Overworlding Mobs, Thermal Elemental Data Models. And they can't use the blaze powder derived dust. You can only use aerothium, cryothium, or petrothium, which are going to become important anyway. And to make those, we need to basically react elemental reduction fluid with charcoal or other stuff like that. Importantly, that will then let us get petroleum, which will then let us get the thermal elemental data model, which can be used to craft thermal elemental matter, which gets us more blazels, and blizz rods. Why is that important, you might say? Well, we need to make nether stars. And instead of capturing a nether, I thought, instead of capturing a wither, we are going to be able to produce this via industry, which is good. So we need to do that. We need to basically create a craftable nether star. That has 4 different tips, each of which are easy because they make pyrotheum, and that's from sulfur dust and blaze powder, redstone. We can already make those easily. So the 4 outsides are easy. The insides, however, need each of these 4 types of rods. So you're going to need all of those, and also luminescence. But luminescence is not terrible. It needs aluminium and energy blend, which we can already do, and it needs phosphoric acid. And we haven't done that yet, but we need sulfuric, water, and apatite dust, or even maybe phosphorus pentoxide. One of the 2 you're able to get this out. Phosphorus dust, water, and oxygen even. Yeah, so there's various means of getting the acid, but before we get to the acid, we need to have a source of these rods to be able to get ourselves to a nether star. So let's take a look at fluorine to get started. I'm going to grind up some granite. I'll just pick that up randomly. Obviously, it's just basic Minecraft block. It's nothing special. That will then grind up in a macerator and will produce black granite dust, I think, if I remember rightly. So black granite dust. Yeah, somewhere? No? Granite? What does that grind up into? I thought that grinded up in a pulverizer into black granite dust. It should be. Why are you not appearing then? It will occasionally give us thorium as well, but that's not what I'm looking for. Black? Why are you not appearing? Have I grinded up the wrong thing? Let's just remove that for a second. Let's see what this actually grinds into. Black granite dust. Why is that not appearing? Oh, hang on. Why can you not go? Is my system full? Oh, it's full. That explains it. Yes, we're out of types. Okay, fine. Let's just get a 4K drive. Oops, not 2K drive, 4K drive. Helps if I can type 4. And this will probably object because I'm out of types. I'll need to withdraw a few things, but that's part of the course. Yeah, you can start crafting. And I'm just going to grab a few things from the bottom, things with only 1 in there. Let's just grab a few of those, just as time to work. And it shouldn't take very long to actually do that. Now it's crafting a bunch of different things. Hopefully crafting a bunch of different things. Anyway, let me finish that off camera and we'll come back once the system has some space again. And now the system's able to store things again. Yep, I'm putting this black granite dust in our advanced electrolyzer, and that's going to process into a couple of different things. The main thing I'm looking for out of it, however, is biotite dust. Biotite, and this is only going to be a temporary crafting thing because we only need enough to get things started. We need the first couple of petroleum or something like that. So very hard to see over here on the right hand side, but biotite dust, we can put an electrolyzer again, and that will make fluorine and other stuff. But more importantly, we're going to need 22 biotite dust. I'm sure we don't get a lot out of that that processing that we're already doing, so I may need more granite. So I'll need to go mine that perhaps. So fluorine, oxygen will get out, silicon dust, all the rest is fine. It's mainly just this fluorine that I want. And the fluorine then I'll put in a chemical reactor with some hydrogen and we'll get hydrofluoric acid. And is that what I need? No, hang on. No, I need to just stay with fluorine. No. I need hydrofluoric acid. Yeah, that's fine. So I do need some hydrogen as well. Hydrofluoric acid, and then another chemical reactor. Bits and pieces, but let's see how much biotite we get out of our 1 stack of granite. I need 22. I've got 11 so far. How far through are you? You're most of the way through. I'm going to need more granite. Okay, so we now have 22 biotite dust. We'll put that through, and I'll just disable temporarily the export of liquids. And we'll get our liquids here. I'll just grab that with our fluid tank and we'll be ready to go.
So we'll just start with a basic chemical reactor, and I can actually just dump it here. We don't have to go anywhere else to do this. And then we can dump in some fluorine and some hydrogen. I've just put them in a bucket. As long as you store them upside down, apparently it's perfectly fine. So fluorine and hydrogen, and it's going to make hydrofluoric acid, which we'll grab with our fluid tank again. So hydrofluoric acid now we need to go then make into, so hydrofluoric, we need to go make into the elemental stuff. So that's going to be in a chemical reactor, I would imagine, yep, with some pulsating dust, but it needs 90 EU per tick. So we're going to need an advanced chemical reactor, not a basic one. But otherwise it should work fine. So we can pick that back up again. That's just temporary, and let's just get a chemical of the advanced type. Can you craft me one? Yes, you can. Good. And that will go ahead and produce. I did notice, by the way, and someone may comment on this, if you type in, let's just go for another chemical reactor, and it says good electronic circuit. Now, I have this set as able to use substitutes, but it seems that it doesn't want to craft them. It's fine if I already craft the circuits that it can substitute for, but it can't seem to actually go and craft them outside. And I'm not sure if that is just because of, I don't know, maybe the size of these. Not sure, but if that is the case, then I just need to add some more onto these cuboids, and that will actually work. So I can just put, you know, another couple of things back here. I'll give that a try, and if that doesn't work, I'm sure someone in the comments will probably let me know why it isn't able to do that. If I craft them first, it's perfectly fine. So the substitution part should be working. Chemical, are you done? You're working on it. Looks like you're nearly done. Yep, there it goes. Oh, so nice to have E32 doing all this compared to how much time it used to take. Oh, there we go. So pulsating dust is just need 2 of them. 1, 2, and then oh no, that's an MV tier stuff on a low voltage line. I need a medium voltage line. Let's pop out here and put it on there. Thankfully, there's no bad effects if you do that wrong, unlike the other way around. So that's going to convert over into the elemental stuff, elemental reduction fluid, and we'll nab that back. Okay, so elemental reduction fluid. I think I'm just going to need some charcoal dust or coal dust or something like that. And it's in a chemical reactor, and it's also advanced, so that's perfectly fine. So we can use it for Basol's dust. We can use it for Blitz powder if we had some endstone dust. We don't, or we don't have snow. So and we can also use it to make blaze powder. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to use coal dust or charcoal dust, and that will get us that. I need to get that wireless crafting terminal crafted fairly soon. Charcoal dust, or even let's just use coal dust because I know I've got some extra of that. Yeah, we're going to need 2 of it, I think. Love this ender hook. Let's put that in, and you're going to process. So we should get some Basol's powder, hopefully. Yes, 1. It's an awful lot of biotite to get 2 Basol's powder, but that should immediately become less of an issue once we have them. In fact, no, we can actually process quite a lot. Let me actually just use all that up. In fact, no, I'll leave it there, just in case we need any of the other types explicitly rather than just processing them. Anyway, the Basol's dust, along with some obsidian dust and some redstone. So let's look at some obsidian, if I've got any left in the system. Obsidian, I've got 1. That'll do. And some redstone. Let's just macerate the obsidian dust up. Oops, not redstone, obsidian. That'll go back into our system. Obsidian, yep, and redstone and Basol's powder gets us petroleum. Okay, and the petroleum can then, whoops, I wish you could type in the U character. There we go. So we can get thermal elemental data model with blank data model, which we should be able to craft. Once I'm not attached to the floor again, blank data model. And do we have everything we need there? We just need some pulsating mesh, so I'm going to need to make that up. Unless the system can make that for us. Did I encode that? No, I didn't. Back in a second. There we go. 1 blank data model, perfectly fine. So we'll then use that with some petroleum. And was it just overworldian? Worldian matter. Yep. Thermal elemental data model. That should give us the quest.
There we go, overworldian mobs, and that gives us 250 Omni pennies, which I'm quite happy about. More importantly, it opens up the ability to not get that one. We can already make that one, I think. With the skeleton skull, it's just skeleton skulls and hellish matter. So yeah, and we can get them directly after that point. So we could make the wither if we wanted to, but it then opens up towards this. The wither data model, of course, needs Nether Stars, so we need to be able to make Nether Stars, which we now should be able to. So I'm going to leave it here for the end of the episode because we're just running up to time. However, from here we can make Blitz models, just Blitz rods directly from Thermal Elemental, and you've seen me do that before with simulation chambers. So I just have to create a new simulation chamber, get it hooked up to the existing system, and that'll make enough pristine matter, probably here or something like that. I don't need to put it separate or anything like that. That'll make enough components for us to be able to make up Nether Stars. So next episode, we'll then carry on and get these done. Important to get these done because these then open up, if you're wondering why I'm doing all this, not just because of the quests, but this opens up the rather important sort of micro miner quest line, apparently, according to a commenter. So if you have a look back here, once these are unlocked and done, we'll be able to get over from this fuel loading and start getting into micro miners and extra resource generation that way. So hopefully you will follow along with that, but we'll see what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the episode, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you next episode for some more Omnifactory.